Now we have Anne and Abby is a 2-year-old that has less than 60 days of riding on her. And so what we have here is we have an experienced rider, but we have a very green horse. And so a pattern like the 4-leaf clover pattern is going to be really good because Anne, as the experienced rider, knows the plan, unlike Caleb, our previous rider, who was learning the plan himself with a more experienced and broke horse. Now we have the opposite situation where we have a rider who has a lot more experience, but a horse that's very green. And in this case, the rider is actually going to be able to feel what is and isn't working with the young horse, which will help the rider make decisions on how the horse's training should progress. So go ahead and come up around here, head off to cone number 1. And so whatever gait you want to do, walk or trot, if you try a lope, it's set up small, real small, so a trot might be a good one to go into. And what you're guys are gonna see is you're gonna see this rider looking up, going around me. She's making a plan. As the more experienced rider, I'm gonna step out of the way as she heads to cone number 3. As the more experienced rider, you can see that she's a lot smoother with her hands. You can see that she's got a plan here. And as we watch this young filly, what we're going to see is we're going to get to see that young filly just trying to figure out, okay, where does she want me to go? Does she want me to go here? And so this gives Anne a chance to feel how to tighten up this training. She's looking pretty good right now. And again, this is a great pattern because Anne's going to be teaching this filly to spin and eventually to run figure eights, change leads. The filly's going to end up being a reining horse. And so we can see it's maybe not as evident to the spectator as it is where I can see where Anne can feel where she's pulling out a little bit at moments or pulling in just a little bit. So right here, that wasn't too bad, but the filly's just kind of moving her head around, trying to figure out where to be. There, the filly thought about going straight for a minute and then is making the turn. You can still see the filly messing with her face a little bit, which is just that questioning of the rider. There's really nothing Anne can do to cure that except to ride the filly for another 100 hours. There's certain amounts of things you just have to ride and put time in. And as a trainer, as Anne's training this horse, as she assumes the role of the trainer for her own horse here, she is going to give this filly a chance by a lot of repetition. Do you want to try a little bit of a lope, Anne? What you're going to see here is you're going to see that this pattern is tighter. And so as we increase the speed on any of these horses, it's going to be like when you were learning to drive a car, that it was easier when you were going slow, and then as you added speed, Anne's going ahead and changing directions. And what you're going to see, this is a great example right here by this little filly of how the filly has to make a decision to either collect or to break gait. And you can see how she hasn't quite learned how to get up underneath herself quite as well. So right in there, you can see where Anne really has to work to try to keep her from breaking gait. Anne's doing a great job looking ahead. You can see Anne's hands moving nice and smooth. If we were to give her an egg and spoon, her hands are floating. They're nice and smooth. And she's doing a good job. That looks great, Anne. You can break down. Very good. And so you could see, especially if you compare the first horse that's more experienced and older and how he's moving around the cones, even though he's still asking to break down and break gait, you can see this filly struggling a little bit more with how to use her body and collect up underneath herself. And that's something that a pattern like this is going to teach her as she gets a chance to do more repetitions over the years. Another great thing about the training cones is that they're small, lightweight, and easily portable. So when you're out working your horse, you can pack them up, carry them, and easily put them away in your horse trailer or wherever else you want to store them.